Hello and namaste everyone. Today I'm here with a game of Altibox Norway Chess 2020, and this is the game between Alireza Firouzja and Levon Aronian, where it's a game of round 4. And the first game they drew a game, and the game continued with the Armageddon. And here black is Alireza Firouzja, where Aronian is white. Let's see what was happened in the game and how did Alireza Firouzja played an interesting move and where Levon Aronian missed the win. Let's check out the game. E4 was the first move that was played by Aronian, and E4 continued by C6 Caro-Kann defense. Then after D4, D5, knight to D2, D captures, knight captures, bishop F5 attacking the knight on the E4, and after knight G3, bishop goes back protecting the bishop. H4 interesting move in the Caro-Kann defense is H4 attacks the bishop on the G6 that need to be protected with the H6. Then after knight to F3, knight D7, bishop to D3 trying to exchange this strong diagonal bishop of the black with the bishop on the F1. Bishop captures on D3, queen captures on D3 was then played. E3, bishop F4 after knight F6. Castles after bishop to e7 was played. However, queen to b6 could also be played, but bishop to e7 was then played after knight to f1 was played. Knight to f1, interesting nobility was played by white. Knight to f1. Then after interesting move, knight to f1. Why did knight to f1? It's very simple. Knight to f1. Then after knight to e3 might be possible. It might be played like in the same way. Let's see how the game was continued. After that, queen to a5 was then played. King to b1, rook d8. The position is equal right at this moment. Bishop to c1 was then played. Knight to c5, queen e2, knight a4, c4. This is that knight is coming to the c3, and if captures now, then bishop could come up the b2 protecting the king side area. So castle was then played. Queen to c2, c5 was then played, trying to break the center of the white. Bishop to d2 attacks the queen. Instead of bishop to d2, d5 could also be played. If d5, then after e captures on d5, knight to e3, d4, knight f5, rook f8. After rook d3, knight d7, and it could be continued, which is equal. However, there is an advantage for black on the d4, so this could not be that good for white. So instead of d5, bishop to d2 was played instead. Instead of d5, bishop to d2 was played, and after queen a6 protects the queen, and then after b3 attacks the knight, and then after here knight b6 was played. There was another interesting idea for black over here. What do you think black could play and have some threat and win the game? Somehow it could be winning for black, and the move you might seen it up and it might be the accurate one. If you have not seen it, please pause the video and find the accurate move. And yes, the move is c captures on the d4. C captures on d4 is the strong threat for white, and after it b captures on a4, rook c8 attacks the pawn again, and after queen to b3, then rook captures on c4, queen b5 trying to extend. After queen rook captures on a4, there are three pawns for a knight. Then after we can play like queen to b6, then after a captures on b6, why not rook captures on a6, because pawn on the d4 is hanging. That's why here b captures on a6 is the move. Bishop to e1, then knight on the e4 could be played. Knight g3, then after rook b8, king a1, and then in this way the game could continue, and it's of course winning because of the d3 pawn. Because of d3 pawn, it's winning for black. That's why here c captures on d4 was a brilliant move that was not seen by Alireza Firouzja, and he just played knight to b6, just protecting the knight and the b6. And after bishop to c3 was then played. C captures on d4, knight captures on d4, knight bd7, trying for knight to come on the c4 or to the c5 or to the e5. Knight to e3, knight c5, d4. A brilliant idea of breaking the king side of black. G5 is next coming up. If captures, then after pawn captures and queen, and the h7 is immediate threat for black. Knight to e4, was then played bishop to b2, bishop to b2, not letting black to capture the excellent bishop on the b2. This is the excellent bishop on the b2, which just have the magical moves on the g7 in coming future. Knight to d6 was then played, g5, another good move for win for white. But however, white couldn't win the game and black win the game because of time pressure. Aronian just didn't see the winning move and just lost. Half queen to e2 attacking the pawn on the h5. Knight c4 was played, and here rook at g1. Knight ce4 is the blunder for black. What do you think white could play and win the game? It's very simple and you can find it very easy. It's very simple. In the game, rook at g1 was played, but instead of this, we have an interesting winning position for white, and that's none other than queen captures on the h5, and if knight captures on the f2, then there is another interesting move. If you have not seen it, you can pause the video and again find out the winning move. Yes, it's none other than knight captures on e6, sacrificing the knight, and then after if knight captures on the d1 or pawn captures on the f6, then we have queen a sorry, if pawn captures on the e6, then we have g6 immediate, and after queen to h7 checkmate. If knight captures on the d1, if knight captures on d1, again we have g6 coming up, and f captures on g6, again we have queen captures on g6, bishop f6, and then after bishop f6, knight c3 and bishop c3. This is simple winning for white. A brilliant move which was not played by Aronian, and he just couldn't win this game. He just played rook to g1 and queen to a5. Rook to d3 was played. Again, it's not that good for white. Instead of rook to d3, he could again play queen to h5 again, and if knight b2 check, then king a1 and knight e4, it could be equal again, but instead of that, rook to d3 was played in the game, and after knight to c3, there is another winning position. This is again winning position for white. What do you think would white play, and how would white play? This is again an interesting move. If you have not seen, you can again pause the video and find out the winning move. You can see so many winning positions for Aronian, but he couldn't find out any of them. What do you think would be winning? And this one is another sacrifice, that is knight on the f5. Wow, knight on the f5 is the another sacrifice. Then after knight captures on the f5, knight captures on the f5, e captures on the f5, then we have queen e5 threatening for mate on the g7, and it needs to be protected with the f6. Then after queen captures on e7, rook d8, g captures on the f6, rook captures, f captures, rook goes there, rook check, king f8, rook d1, protecting the rook on the d2. Then after knight e6 attacks the rook, rook g6 check, king goes there, and rook captures on the e6, queen c7, rook to d6, queen d6, rook d6, and it's immediate win for white. A piece is up on the b2, and it's winning for white for sure. But it was not played again in the game. Aronian just played rook to d2, protect the rook on the d2. Then after we have knight ce4 that was played, rook c2, again interesting position for white. Rook to f8 was played. Let's see how the game ended. Then after queen to h5 was played, and then here is the mistake that was played by Aronian. Instead of queen to h5, there is another winning move for white, and that was none other than again g6, f captures in g6, and then after knight to e6, double attack, attacking the pawn on the g7 and attacking the rook, and it could be continued with bishop f6, bishop captures f6, rook captures, then after bishop to d8, and then after queen to d8, immediate capturing and capturing the exchange. This would be winning again for white, but it was again not played. It was now where it's not the good idea to capture the pawn on the h5. It was captured by Aronian, and then the game continued with knight d2 check, king c1, knight to e4. Again, this is blunder for knight to e4 is the blunder for black. Again, it's winning for Aronian. What could be the winning move for Aronian and could be win? It's none other than knight to f5 again. Knight to f5. If pawn captures, then we have again g6 coming up and bishop to f6. Then what you will play? G captures and the f7. King to f8 after captures, and this is totally winning for white. It could be played, but it was not played in the game, and the game was played with the c4, and then after here is the moment where black just had the winning position. Now black could win this game immediately after this. Now after g6 was played, attacking the queen, then only brilliant move was queen to h8. Now after king to h8, knight to c6 check. King goes back, knight captures in a5, knight f3, rook d1, knight captures in the c5, captures a pawn, rook captures, rook captures. There is a brilliant move for white, and that's none other than knight captures in b7, and life is bright for white now. But it was not played in the game again. Again, Aronian didn't play this one, and bishop to f6 was played. G captures in the f6, b6 attacks the knight, and black could protect the pawn. Knight to c6, rook to d7, rook c4, then after king to h7, king b2, after knight d2 again, knight d2, rook d4, rook captures in d4, knight captures in d4, knight de4, knight g4 was then played, knight check, king c2, and this is winning already a pawn up, knight captures, knight goes there, knight goes and the e4, knight captures on a7, and knight captures on f6. Black is a pawn up, and of course will be winning this position now. Let's see how the game ended and how could black win the game. Knight a4 was played, knight d5, then after knight to c6, f6 was then played, b4, d5, another threat, then after captures, and king to d3, g4, and a5 was another blunder by white. And here is a moment where black just played a move and white resigned. What is the move? What is the move you think is the move which black played and Aronian just resigned? Yes, the move is knight captures on b4 check, and knight must capture it. And here this Aronian resigned. If the game was continued, it would be knight captures on b4, b captures on a5, knight a6, king to g6, knight c5, king f5, and after king to e2, then king to e5, going forward for the knight to get captured, king f5, then after king d5 attacks the knight, knight f5, king c4, king g3, king b4, knight b2, e5, knight d3 check, king c4, knight captures, king c3, knight attacks the pawn, a4, knight a7, king c4, check is coming up, knight c8, a3, knight d6, and then game could end like this, knight f5 and a2. There will be queen coming up for black, and yes, this is winning, of course, for black. In this way, Aronian lost a game with Alireza Firouzja won a game with Magnus, and this is the round 4 where Aronian lost the game with Alireza Firouzja, a brilliant youngster of 2020, and he is going to be playing really great. And thank you everyone. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button if you have not done that, and if you like the video, click the like button so that it can be spread all over the world. Thank you for watching, and please do comment in the comment section. Thank you and bye bye. See you in the next video.